What's up, y'all? GoofyRhexxi here. Hope everybody is doing well, and wanted to do this video here today, guys. And in light of preparing for baby apocalypse and future apocalypse here, future big apocalypse, wanted to talk about who potentially we might be off the list, right, when it comes to gear tier 16 characters. Some of you are probably going to be like me, where you've already G16 some of these characters that are currently here prior to the announcement of apocalypse. But I'm doing this video because I get questions every week. Hey Goofy, should I still G16 this character? Should I still G16 that character? So I figured, let me do a video here and talk about characters that you probably should not G16 anymore when it comes to your roster, because it's a better efficient use of your resources here. Now, some of these characters are still good, very good. For example, I would still bring them to level 90, probably gear tier 15 on your roster. It's just that coveted G16, that teal gear, that I probably would not consider putting on these characters. So gonna go through this list here today. Let's actually dive right on into it. The first character on my list that I wanted to talk about here is Dr. Doom. And this is a question that I get frequently every single week. Goofy, should I still G16 my Doom? Like, I know that he's a good character. I would say that yes, he's still a good character, but the reason why I have a little bit of a pause with Doom is that you have very high mystic requirements right now with the Darkhold team that require your G16 gear. You're gonna have to invest into those characters anyways. So when I look at future planning, G16, some of these characters that are part of the Darkhold team are 54 mini uniques, right? Doom is going to take 36 of those. That's just really heavy on the requirements for me. I'm only going to want to prioritize putting that mystic teal gear on characters that I know I'm going to have to use later on, and I'm going to have to put that gear on. Also, in the grand scheme of things too, Dr. Doom, while is a great character, and I would still recommend bringing him up to level 90 and gear tier 15, the issue for me is that he's also going to be fine at gear tier 15. There's no content that you have to use him for, right? You don't have to use him for Doom raids anymore. There's the Bionic Avengers team. You're not really using him in arena. For Cosmic Crucible, he kind of sits on defense. At least for me, I only use him on defense there. You can probably use him on offense as well. Even in Alliance War, used to use him with the A-Force team. I think that might change now with some of the recent changes that happened to Namor and the A-Force team. I'm probably going to slot in Namor there instead of using Dr. Doom now. But at the same time, it's just, you don't really need him at gear tier 16. So I think realistically, you can pause and hold off from bringing Dr. Doom to G16. If I had known what I know now prior to the apocalypse requirements, I definitely would have not G16 my Dr. Doom. I definitely would have held off there. Now, the next character on this list for me, probably going to be controversial, and it kind of pains me to say this one, to be very honest with you. And this, if there is an exception to this list, I feel like I want Emma Frost to be an exception to this list, but Emma Frost is definitely on this list as a character that I probably would not G16 anymore. She's plug and play everywhere though, right? She's plug and play in arena, she's plug and play in Cosmic Crucible, she's plug and play in Raid, she's plug and play in Alliance War. She's really the best plug and play character in MSF when you look at it that way. There's just many things that give me pause, right? You have a full unlimited X-Men team that's going to require mutant gear. And then you also have this right here too. This ballistic weave, this augmented ballistic weave, you are going to need this for Rogue. You're going to need it for her. You're going to need 40 pieces of this for Rogue. So while Emma is an incredibly useful character, and I definitely would say level 90 and gear tier 15 to get usage out of her, I just think the issue is that you're going to run into some gear constraints here. Also, Emma Frost is 72 mini uniques. That is going to be quite taxing on your gear. So for me personally, I would definitely hold off. If you get, let's say 40, if you get 58 pieces, you have an extra 18 pieces that you can use on Emma Frost. Sure, that's probably fine. Still want to consider that mutant gear though, because she is 72 mini uniques, and you're going to need that for your other limited X-Men characters. I would still probably pause on that just because you want to put this on Rogue first. You're going to need it for Rogue, and Rogue is also amazing, and probably a little bit more important, right, than Emma when it comes to your arena in terms of characters that you need to have pretty big here. The next character on this list for me is going to be Iron Man, and Iron Man's like the shiny new toy. Yes, you need him for Doom 3. We're so excited that Iron Man and finally got a rework here. We need him to get a new costume because this one right here doesn't look quite as good anymore. But, and of course, yes, your legendary options are slim when you're looking at G16 characters. The issue, the one big massive pause, which I think you guys already know already for me, is this right here, gamma radiation. We're looking at Hulk, who's gonna need gamma radiation from the Gamma team. We already know Abomination is gonna need gamma radiation as well. So if you add it up in terms of teal gear, that's 80 pieces that you're gonna need for G16 and then G17, and then probably Red Hulk may also need gamma radiation as well. That's another 40 pieces. That's going to be 120 pieces. So there's a massive pause for me when it comes to Iron Man and gamma radiation. Now, chances are down the road that you may need Iron Man to be at gear tier 16 for some of the higher difficult Doom raid content, like maybe 3.4 or whatever. Like, you may need him there. But right now, I would say from a planning perspective, I would probably pause on the gamma radiation just because of how much of it you are going to need. There's some other options which I'll talk about here in this video in regards to what you can use for legendary to get yourself by, but honestly, I would probably hold off on Iron Man if I were you, just for the gamma radiation. The next couple of characters I wanted to talk about here are two of the new warriors right now, and that's Cloak, and then that's also Dagger here. And I just feel that this team, these characters right now are currently running they're out of the meta a little bit. They were your primary Doom 3 raid options. We're seeing now that it's really Dormhold. Now, if you don't have Dormammu, you can still use the Darkhold team. You can still get some value here out of Doom. But once again, you don't need Doom to be at G16. It's really going to be based on the Darkhold team being able to hard carry that, right? You really don't need those characters there. So Cloak and Dagger falling off the list. They're mystic characters. Again, they're not really needed or used. You don't need G16 gear on them. I wouldn't do this again at all, right? I mean, I wouldn't even think about this twice for G16 here. I never did Cloak, never did Dagger because she's 72 mini uniques. I would definitely hold off on this team. They're still valuable, I think, for beginner players, but they're just not worth the G16 right now with the mystic gear that you're going to need. I would definitely hold off on that. Another character that I'll probably hold off on as well is probably Lady Deathstrike. I don't think anyone's probably really considering this anymore, but she was a part of the tech raid team for Doom 2. Lady Deathstrike no longer needed for Doom 2 for tech nodes anymore. It's all about Bionic Avengers. So therefore, that's kind of obvious. I would definitely take her off the list. Now, some characters that are not going to be mentioned on this list here that you're probably also wanting to get some answers on, and that is Dormammu, right? This is a big one, I think, for a lot of players. Is Dormammu still worth G16? As of right now, I think that he is definitely still worth G16. He's very impactful. Now, to be fair, you just need him to spawn in order for him to be impactful, right? But I found that the bigger the Dormammus that I've had to face, the tougher the matchups have been for me. Dormammu still does a lot of damage. There's a lot of control there. So in a lot of ways, Dormammu is still an impactful G16 character, at least for right now. Now, I might be getting caught up in the sauce because I just got Dormammu, a month or so ago. So I might just be caught up in the sauce where that is concerned. So maybe I need to evaluate this more objectively, but I do still feel like a big Dormammu for me is very challenging when I don't take care of him on the enemy team. When the bigger he is, it's harder to take care of him, right? To get him out of the way. He can just do a lot of back end damage depending on what other matchups or what other characters you have there. So the fact that he can he's just very impactful. Maybe he doesn't need to be G16, but I still think Dormammu is definitely worth G16 gear. Now, a couple characters that I've used for Dark Dimension that maybe you may be asking questions on, and I'll filter out my roster, my global, and I'll go non-legendary here to talk about who I'm going to talk about here. And that is Captain Sam. That is Sharon Carter. Like, are these still characters that I would still recommend G16 in? As of right now, yes, this could definitely change in the future. I think for your global section in Dark Dimension 5, I think at a bare minimum, Captain Sam is going to be necessary. If you're not going to G16 Emma because of the ballistic weave and the mutant gear and Doom, you're definitely at least going to want to have Captain Sam for some control, for some ability energy, for the speed up, to be able to taunt. You're going to want Captain Sam there. I think Sharon Carter is just a nice little added beneficiary that's there. They're both skill characters. So when you're looking at like where you're gonna eat up gear. Right now, skill is kind of like in a nice place. There's not really a lot of characters that are gonna eat up your skill gear. None of the legendary horseman teams require any characters that have skill gear. So we're kind of like in a sweet spot where we can kind of sneak in some skill characters right now. So Captain Sam is good. Sharon Carter, their hero uniques, also Vibranium. I don't think you're gonna run into too many issues with Vibranium. Titanium Alloy, I think, for Sharon Carter, you're not gonna run into too many issues with that. Now this could change, like I said, but as of right now, I think you could kind of sneak them in there as being characters that you can use. If we're looking at our cosmic roster too, there are a couple characters there that I will probably still say you kind of don't really have a choice. You do, but you don't at the same time, right? If we're looking at cosmic section for Dark Dimension 5, it's still Icarus, Kestrel, Cersei, and then yes, Doctor Strange Heartless, who's a part of a legendary horseman team. That makes sense. But then like your next character is gonna be a waste regardless of whatever you do. Now I brought in magic. Do not do magic. You gotta have at least 1 or 2 passion projects. Yeah, magic was definitely a passion project for me. T'Challa, right? There's gonna be one character that's gonna be there. I used T'Challa back then. I probably would still use T'Challa now if I were probably playing out my Dark Dimension 5 run. Just because once again, it's just one of those things where it's like, who else am I gonna bring in? There's literally the 5th character is always going to be a waste. When you're looking at your cosmic legendary run, your cosmic Dark Dimension 5 run, there's gonna be one character that's gonna be a waste. It's because it's only Icarus, Kestrel, Cersei, Doctor Strange Heartless. There's gonna be one character that you're gonna waste gear on. It doesn't matter who, it's just a matter of who doesn't negatively impact me too much. And I think T'Challa probably fits the bill as that character. You could also potentially go with Valkyrie, who is a skill character too. So therefore you're kind of saving a little bit of gear there, but of course she's also Prometheum. So you're going to eat away at some of the resources that you're going to need there for Doctor Strange Heartless. So do think about that as you move forward as well. And then for these 2 characters I did not mention on this list, that maybe you were considering, maybe I shouldn't bring these characters to gear tier 16 either. These are the legendary characters here. So we've already talked about who's not, you probably shouldn't G16, right? Like Iron Man, definitely don't do Black Bolt. Didn't do anything there. I still think Shuri and Omega Red, who I did not mention, who obviously I think a lot of players will say, hey, should I still G16 these characters? I think if we're looking at the grand scape of the game right now, or if you're looking at the game right now in the next month or so, right, who are your best options for legendary? It's going to be Morgan, Rogue, Red Hulk when he comes out, which is going to be soon, right? And then your next 2 options really are Shuri and Omega Red. You're not going to want to bring Jubilee because that's mutant gear. I forgot what her hero unique is too. That's not bad. You're not going to want to bring in Phoenix. Like these 2 characters are probably just not really worth bringing up, putting your gear on. I think Shuri provides some solid value to your team with the defense up, ability, energy, some heals there. And Omega Red is amazing. Use Striker on him. I use Skirmisher in Alliance War because I do have some focus issues at times with him. So I do still use Skirmisher on him there. But I think your 2 next best options other than Morgan, Rogue, and Red Hulk are going to be Omega Red and Shuri. And of course, by the way, when the next legendary horseman comes out, it's going to be, we're probably going to take off Shuri and then leave Omega Red, right? So this will continue to change where that is concerned. So those are my thoughts, guys, on characters to G16 here, or characters that you should not G16, and characters that I still think are worth G16 too. So I kind of switched up the list a little bit on you there. Also wanted to ask this question. Would this be helpful for you? Should I make a video talking about planning out your first run and your second run for Dark Dimension 5, like characters that you would take into your first run for Dark Dimension 5 and then additional characters that you would take for your second run of Dark Dimension 5? Let me know if that's a video that you guys would find some value in here. Definitely willing to be able to do so and talk about that here in a video. So let me know. That definitely would take some planning, of course. But listen, if you guys have any questions about anything, feel free to leave it down. Leave a question, leave it down in the comments here. Always happy to help out where that is concerned. Questions, comments, whatever it is, leave it down below, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't done so already to the channel. Hit the notification bell so that you know when the videos do go live. And then until next time, guys, y'all be blessed. Y'all be safe.